A pleasant day, dear students. Welcome to our new journey in learning the English language. Our new lesson is about sources of information, but we are going to focus with the accessibility and effectiveness of the content. Let me give you the reminders. Write your answers on your answer sheet. Don't forget to write your name on your answer sheet. Always visit your FB group to check on announcements. Don't hesitate to post your questions in the FB group or simply chat your subject teacher. Before we start, let us first have a review. You have 5 seconds to answer the questions. Just identify what are described by the following statements. Arrange the jumbled letters to get the correct answer. Let's get started. Question number 1. They serve as the actors or movers in a story. Arrange the jumbled letters to get the correct answer. Time's up. Let us see if your answer is correct. Very good. The answer is characters. Question number 2. It shows how the author arranges events to develop the basic idea. What is it? Time's up. Let us see if your answer is correct. Congratulations, your answer is correct. Plot. Question number 3. It is a kind of conflict in which the character struggles with the force outside oneself. What is it? Time's up. What is your answer? Let us see if your answer is correct. And the answer is external. You got it right. Question number 4. It is the turning point of the story. Time's up. What is the answer? You got it right again. The answer is climax. Question number 5. It refers to the time and location when and where a story takes place. Time's up. What is your answer? Let us see if it's correct. Very good. The answer is setting. You got it right again. Congratulations. You are now ready for the next lesson. Now let us move forward to the sources of information, focusing on the accessibility and effectiveness of the content. Here are the objectives of this lesson. Identify sources of information, define accessibility and effectiveness, recognize, compare, and contrast contents of materials viewed from various sources. If you still remember, in lesson 1, or on the first lesson that we have studied, we have studied the different kinds of or sources of information, and those are the primary, secondary, and tertiary sources of information. You have known that the primary source of information are authentic or first-hand data, and the secondary sources of information are interpretations of primary sources. And lastly, the tertiary sources, or the third source of information, are a collection of both primary and secondary sources. But there are specific information sources that may be used in accessing certain details or information. Now, we're going to focus our discussion with the specific sources of information, And then later on, we will discuss the accessibility and effectiveness of the content. First is a scholarly articles. These are documents written by experts or scholars discussing results of scholarly works like research. These scholarly articles are peer-reviewed, technical, and has specific methods. Scholarly articles or written materials like research are usually created to solve a problem or give explanation to a certain situation or a phenomena. These materials undergo varied analysis and criticisms or interpretations to check the validity of the content. These sources are done following specific processes. That's why it is technical and follows specific methods. Samples of scholarly articles are research projects or research studies. Next are books. These are sources providing information in details segregated into chapters or parts. These are synthesized versions of information. Books are very familiar sources of information, as we all know. Information from books are presented or arranged according to the similarity of the content. It is very easy to get the data from books, for they are usually published and manufactured. So we do not have a problem in getting information from this kind of sources or from books. Examples of books are textbooks that we are using in our schools, and or some examples are novels. Next are government documents. These are reports, censuses, policies, data, and statistics issued and published by the government and its attached agencies. These are government-owned materials or sources kept and published by the different agencies or departments. Let us take, for example, the Department of Education have their own reports and censuses and policies, data and statistics. The Department of Health have their own data, and the Department of Tourism also have their own data. So meaning to say, there are different government documents. Fourth are news or magazine articles. These are sources containing timely, brief, and non-technical explanations of events or commentaries for the general public. This contains opinions and news. It is very easy to gather information from this type of sources, for they are regularly published, just like the books. The newspapers are published on a regular basis or on a daily basis, and the magazines are usually published on a monthly or annual basis. Usually, if you are writing a research paper, we can get information from the opinion pages or the news articles that are provided or contained inside the news or the magazines. Examples of news and magazine articles are coming from the school paper or major newspaper. If you want to know any information about the happenings inside our school, so you may check on a school paper. Then, if you need to gather information or know matters about the happenings inside our country, you may check on the newspapers or the major newspapers. Then, we can also gather information from magazines like the National Geographic. Next, or lastly, the reference materials. These sources provide answers to questions such as statistics, maps, background information, redirecting to additional sources. And these sources are factual and detailed. So if you need sources that would directly provide the information that you need, it is best to look for reference materials. But it depends on the kind of information that you need. So here are the samples of reference materials. If you need to look for the definition of a word, of course you have to check the dictionary. If you need to locate something or to locate an area, you have to look for the atlas. Or if you need a discussion about a certain matter, it is best to use an encyclopedia. Now that you have learned that those specific sources provide important information, it is your duty to check the accessibility and effectiveness of those sources. We have to be very careful in selecting the sources to ensure the validity of information. We have to take note that before using any source of information, ask yourself first with this question: is your source accessible and effective? Let us discuss effectiveness of the content. It refers to the degree of being able to achieve the desired result based from their objective or purpose. A source is effective if it helps you achieve your desired outcome. Now, what is accessibility? It refers to the quality of being easy to find, obtain, and use. Is your source easy to find and use? If you have no problem getting the information you are looking for and use it successfully, then it is accessible. Now, what are the things to consider about the accessibility of a specific source of information? Does it have the text accessibility, or are the arrangement of words easy to access? Are those words presented by a specific source readable? Can you understand the words that are used inside a specific text? Then we also have, does it have an image accessibility? Does it have pictures that are helpful or that adds information, adds details to the text that you have read? Do the source that you have gathered have audio accessibility? Does it provide information through listening? Or does it provide video accessibility? Does it provide or help giving information by providing audios to listen to, or videos that you can watch so you can easily understand and gather the information that you need? So you have to consider all those things to know the accessibility of a specific source of information. Now, in general, knowing the accessibility and effectiveness of a source will allow you to compare and contrast information to avoid information gap or misinterpretation and misinformation. It is very important that you analyze the effectiveness and accessibility of a specific source of information to avoid committing errors. We have to take note that it is essential to review the source of information for your readers to, one, satisfy the expectations of the academic community you are writing for. In using different sources as you are writing, for example, a research paper, it is very important that you reviewed your source of information, because you have to also take into consideration the readers of the research paper that you are writing. Are the information that you have gathered suitable for the people who are reading your research? Next, number two, your Source of information must show evidence of wide, informed, and relevant reading. Let us take, for example, again, you are writing your research paper. It should show from your research paper that the gathered information that you have used are evident and relevant. And another is valid. Next, number 3, show that your writing does not rely mainly on your personal opinion. In writing a research paper, it is very important that you have your personal opinion, of course, but you should also get some support to your personal opinion. And those supports would come from the sources that you have gathered. Next, number 4, show the process by which you have arrived at your own conclusions about the topic, and to enable the reader to understand and evaluate the ideas and information you are presenting. Okay, through the use of different sources from or different information coming from the different sources, you will be able to show as a concrete conclusion. Through the use of those information coming from valid and reliable sources, your readers will not have any confusion or regret on reading your paper, because they will know, and as they read your paper, they will realize that the content of your research paper are valid and reliable. Next, number 5, show your ability to integrate material from a range of sources. Through using varied information coming from different sources, you will be able to project or to show how good are you in using your gathered information. Next, number 6, show evidence of an analytical and critical approach to your source material. Since writing a research paper needs wide reading, reviewing your source of information will make you analytical and critical at the same time, meaning it will show how careful you are in selecting your source of information that you're going to integrate in your research paper. Next, number 7, enable readers to follow up references or perspectives of particular interest to them. If you will review your source of information before using it, it will give your readers the confidence to use the same source that you have used whenever or if ever they are going to read or to write a research paper with the same topic as you have done. And last, number 8, avoid plagiarism. We will not be able to commit a crime of illegally copying someone's intellectual property or someone's concept or idea if before using a certain or a specific source of information, you will be able to review it first. And aside from reviewing, you also have to cite these sources inside your paper, inside your research paper, for you to avoid plagiarism. Because plagiarism is a big crime of illegally copying or claiming that a certain concept or idea is yours. So through reviewing your your sources, it will help you avoid this crime. So that is all for today's lesson. Thank you for listening. Until our next journey to learning the English language. God bless you all. Goodbye.